Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Hyam?
Here.
Mr. Heiss?
Here.
Mr. Lohman?
Here. Approval of minutes from September 12th, 2022 meeting.
I make that motion.
A second?
Roll
I guess
call.
I can't.
Yeah, you have to abstain. Roll call.
Mr. Lohman, are you seconding that?
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Heiss?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Yes.
And you're abstaining, Mr. Hyam?
And then approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held October 10th, 2022.
I move that we approve.
Nice second. Roll call.
Mr. Hyam?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Yes.
And Mr. Heiss, are you abstaining from that?
Approval to pay the bills has been presented over the past month.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Hyam?
Yes.
Mr. Heiss?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Yes. Correspondence, Mr. Hyab.
Okay, I talked to Todd Gadberry at the Hamilton County Engineer's Office regarding the Fort Scott repaving project. We would do the Fort Scott Boulevard up the Bugle Way.
Dennis.
We would do the repaving on the Fort Scott Boulevard up the Bugle Way. And then looking at Benning Street, it's starting to fall apart. And I would think, since we got them in there, we'd go ahead and do Benning Street down to the circle. So that would be about 500 or 600 feet of paving. And so they're going to be getting their work schedule together to be putting out the bids. And I haven't heard anything back from him since then. I went to the Hamilton County Trustees Association event on November the 12th. And that's the first one of those I've been to. And they had several state legislators there, and they naturally were talking about the election, school funding, and how the townships and municipalities are probably going to be required to put more into the police and firemen's pension fund. So that was some of the topics that was on that. And then I went to the ICRC meeting, and they were trying to keep Reading in, but they also approved Lebanon into the fold. So they were talking about different items on that and some of the equipment that they're going to be replacing. And right now, evidently, all of their stuff is archived onto tapes, and they're going to go digital. So they're going to make that transition coming up because they're going to have to get new equipment. And so that was probably one of the main things on that. And then talked to Henson Roofing about repairing the vertical seams, and that'll be addressed in old business. That's all I have.
And then me, the Ohio Township Association Winter Conference is January 25th to 27th in Columbus Convention Center.
What's that date again?
25th to 27th
Of
January. Hamilton County Board of Health meeting, the 14th. Then there's an online summit on November 30th and December 1st for federal grants, or it's on ohiochannel.org from 9 to 1 both days, so it's both virtual.
I missed that one, Doug. Can you
That's
repeat
okay.
all that?
It's a summit for federal grants. Probably some of it has to do with like this different stimulus money that are still available. And it's November 30th and December 1st from 9 to 1, but it's online.
That Hamilton County Board of Health meeting you said is when?
The 14th
Of,
this month.
Tonight.
so
Is
today?
that today? Yeah, it was. Time's slipping by. Then the last thing is in the Ohio Township magazine had a article on carry and conceal updates for like townships and that, because last June, Ohio, you don't have to get a carry and conceal permit. Anybody can carry. They just said that rules pretty much still apply the same for government buildings, that you can't carry in there, and also that employees would have to, as it was before, they would have to keep their firearms locked in their car while they're working, that they can't carry while they're working. That's all I have. Mr. Heiss?
Yeah, couple of things that you probably both receive it. There's a new deadline for the Harrison Press, which is now called the Register. You need to end by Thursday, the week before the newspaper come out. It's legal notices I'm talking about. So, then I guess you also got notice. I saw, update of the new cost from $43 up to $50 for traffic detail from the sheriff's office. I see that you did an update on that. So
Yeah,
we're gonna
Mr.
talk
Carter
about
put that
later.
together for us. I was going to bring that up in conjunction with other sheriff issues during fiscal officer's report.
So you'll talk about that later. I guess.
Yep.
And then last month, Dennis brought up that the Hamilton County Parks having on October 20th, I guess, they had a 2022 fall tour of different parks in Hamilton County. I went up to that. I think I gave you guys a copy of what happened in Crosby Township. You remember?
Yeah, I saw that.
Basically, to summarize it, they doing a lot of work in the next couple of years, I guess, within the next 12 months, to 2 years, I guess. They on New Haven Road, that Shaker Trace Nursery, where they grow wildflowers and stuff. They're going to build a couple new buildings there. They're going to open up to the public more. And then the other project is over here in Miami Whitewater Park. They're going 12 update and new, a lot of new stuff they're putting in. They're going to basically redo the whole playground. They're also going to do what you call a wet playground area. And they had that a long time ago, but now they're putting that back in. So they're going to be doing a lot of work in Crosby Township. And I guess they passed that board, was that last year, the year before,
Yeah.
the park leverage. So then Crosby Township look like they are going to get a lot of benefit from that park leverage. So I thought I'd bring you up to date on that. So basically all I have.
Okay.
So.
Guest, Sheriff, Lieutenant Stuckey.
All right. Am I not on? I am on. For the month of October, Crosby Township had 118 calls. We had 5 criminal reports, 6 non-criminal reports. The detectives were assigned only 1 case, none were closed. We had 7 auto accidents and 1 DUI OVI arrest in the township. And finally, we're all caught up for the analyst. I gave you the reports for August, September, and October attached to the report from the analyst to show you the numbers and everything of reports and calls and everything else. So that is all I have. Anything?
Have you heard anything about what they're doing downtown as far as coming out here and telling us
About the meetings?
the meeting on what
Not
we're going
keep me in
to
the
have to
loop
pay?
with that.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I do not.
I know evidently they had a budget meeting down there and approved the budget, and the sheriff's office didn't quite get what she was wanting. I heard that on the news, but other than that, nobody's contacted me about
I'll put
what
it
we're
in my
doing out
letter
here.
again of,
So-
to contact you.
Okay,
Thank you. Uh-oh, go ahead.
2011 or early 2012, the sheriff's department did the same thing. They were going to want the township to pay for all this. And I remember they had a meeting here. The 3 township was Whitewater Township, Harrison Township, and Crosby Township. It was an informal meeting. We had a meeting here, and then nothing really was decided. And I don't know, the sheriff's department kind of get grab it. I don't know why, but at one time in 2012, they wanted us to pay like our share. You remember that?
Yes.
And you know what happened? Why they kind of got grabbed.
I think it's because of the elections and things like that. It's just change of sheriffs, and it's just, it's been that way.
And that one we started our traffic detail. That one I started in 2012. And
We went, I know you weren't here last month. We went over that a little bit last month as well. It's something that comes up not only with different sheriffs that are elected, but when they go through their budgeting process. So actually the last time it was brought up was, I think 2 years ago. And the chief deputy at the time actually came to one of our meetings. Maybe it was a year and a half ago. Came to one of our meetings and was bringing the whole thing back up again about the 3 western townships and you know how they don't pay for services, that the sheriff just decides to do it, and it's something that happens repeatedly and cyclically. And at the time, the previous sheriff ended up making the decision to keep the patrols. I think they're at 1 patrol less now than they were then,
okay.
but
Yeah, I was been here 12 and a half years, and the first time I heard about it was in 2011, 2012, and then two years ago, whenever I wasn't here. So they're gonna bring it up every year, but you hear they bring it up here every so often. They bring it up to township, and some of the cities, I guess, smaller cities should be paying their share. So anyway, how the traffic detail got started. Because in 2012, I guess it got started. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gage Bradford, hopefully that's you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me out. I am the community specialist for Hamilton County Resource, which is formerly Hamilton County Recycling and Solid Waste. We have just this past year rebranded to Resource, but still the same purpose and goals and whatnot of helping communities send less waste to the landfills in this county. So I'm here to give you guys an update on our on our Ohio EPA mandated 5-year update to our 15-year plan for the county's solid waste plan. But before we do that, I just wanted to recap some of the annual programs we fund or participate in, just to make sure you guys are up to speed with what we do. We do have about $1 million worth of grant money that goes out to the communities of Hamilton County each year. We've got an annual grant, the residential recycling incentive, of about $900,000. Crosby Township last session was awarded about $1,300 of that. It's basically a kickback based on recycling and composting efforts, so the township could reinvest in any of those efforts. We have the Environmental Enforcement Task Force. We fund a sheriff to full-time, year-round, serve all 48 political jurisdictions in the county with any illegal dumping issues that may be going on. Tires, C&D, any of that stuff ending up where it's not supposed to be in your township, we've got an officer that will follow up with investigations and follow that through the court system. And lastly, on some of the programs I wanted to highlight is our yard trimmings drop-off program. So any Hamilton County resident is free to bring yard trimmings, small yard debris and whatnot, leaves, stuff like that, to any of our 3 yard waste drop-off facilities in the county that the material is then composted. I think the one closest to Crosby is in Green Township, but I could be wrong on that. There's 3 in the county. But now getting to the actual plan update, the reason I'm here. So as I said, the EPA requires our office every 5 years to update the 15-year plan for the county revolving around solid waste, recycling, and composting. So we are required to get approval and ratification from at least 60% population-wise of the political jurisdictions in the county. 5 years ago, last time we went out for this, we did get 100%, including Crosby Township. So the process, once we are completely finished making the rounds and bringing everyone up to speed, we will ask that it goes out for ratification sometime in January probably, and we'll have 90 days to have all of the jurisdictions pass that. If for some reason it fails, then the EPA will come in and make the county's plan for us. A couple other things quickly that I wanted to touch on. So that $900,000 grant that I spoke of that Crosby qualifies for and applies for every year, we are looking at a slight tweak to that. Right now, the system is kind of rich get richer, poor stay poorer. Crosby Township, what can you really do with $1,300 to invest back in your recycling efforts or composting efforts? So we're going to be implementing some sort of minimum threshold payout somewhere in between $2,500 and $5,000. All you would have to do is apply, support your numbers that would likely be coming from Rumpke, and maybe a couple other short, easy check marks, but that's about it for that grant. We are increasing our annual business assistance programs funding from $145,000 to $245,000. We will come in and help a business do a waste audit, or maybe bump up the recycling composting bins on the inside completely free of charge. And we've got a number of grant programs as well as an internship program for business as well. So we do have a lot of programs, whether that be for schools, public areas, businesses, you name it. I don't want to get too far into that tonight. And lastly, before I get out of here or answer any questions, this was not required of us, but we did pay a consultant from downtown Cincinnati that focuses on diversity, equity, inclusion to review our plan as we were updating it, just to make sure that our programming or funding or grant opportunities aren't slanted towards any specific geographic area or otherwise. But with that, that's pretty much the spiel on our 5-year update process, and I'm happy to answer any questions or leave my contact info. As I said, I'm the community specialist, so anything going on around town, whether it's your Chamber of Commerce or your schools or whatnot, that want to take a look at their recycling and composting and waste diversion efforts, I'd be happy to help.
Do you have a handout that you can leave us with
Yes,
the information?
I can leave this brief handout that that I was just following, and it does have our contact information on it as well as the website, which, by the way, the full 300-page plan is on the website for review if you're interested in that. But yeah, I will leave one of these.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm just going to leave it over here. That's all right.
Okay.
Can't miss it.
Do you happen to have more than one copy of that?
Yeah.
So I can put one in the minutes?
And if for some reason you need more details or a recap from me, just reach out. And we'll get one to you.
Thank you.
All right.
So nobody else public at large? Reports legal, Alan is not here tonight. Maintenance, Harry.
Thing I got, I'm getting the trucks all ready for winter. Got the blades on them, everything and that, and got everything going, so,
You almost needed them the other day.
I know, it worried me.
I guess the only thing I have is, we need to, we're gonna have to advertise for your position probably at the first of the year, be my opinion. So we need to, there is a job description that was in our township book, and then I drafted some stuff that we can look between the two of them, and probably need to revise what was in our book back there. So I would suggest everybody take and review that, so that when we have our planning meeting, we can probably address if we need to do any changes. And to figure out whether we should go part-time or full-time. Right now, I think part-time would probably work, but we need to consider that too.
You got anything else?
I don't know, you think we have an executive session for a minute and talk about some of this stuff? And get together, all of us, or not tonight, we don't have to do it, we'll get together, and, because I like to say some things too.
Well, we can do it tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Rick is, but we could have you and then Rick after you're done or whatever.
It's almost done. Roof will be done in a couple of days, if you want to tell them.
They said the roof will be done in a couple of days,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Rain or shine?
Or
They're not
snow.
working tomorrow because of the rain, but they said that they anticipate being out probably Wednesday, hopefully to wrap it up Wednesday or Thursday.
Wow, I didn't think it was gonna be that fast.
Well,
They've been working up there in that cold.
Yeah, well, that time of year now,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm glad they're getting it done. Okay, oh, well, I guess I could bring it up right now. The sill plate that goes around, I talked to Harry about that, and he thinks that they can do that in-house. So Harry will take care of the sill plate, putting a new bead of caulking around it to seal it up. And then, since we're in maintenance, I guess we need to, do we want to approve them doing the vertical joints, repairing, or Harry, do you think you can do the vertical joints?
What, they're just gonna caulk them, or?
They're gonna clean them out and recaulk?
Yeah, we could do them then,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll just let you handle it then.
yeah.
Okay,
You didn't tell him to do it yet, did you?
No.
Okay. What did you say, there was 8 of them or something?
there's 11.
Oh, 11. I know you told me that.
11, they're 4 feet high, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
44 times, well, they want a running foot, $12 and something a running foot, so it was gonna cost a little over $500. So if you can handle that, that'll take care of it. All right?
Fire Chief Davis.
October run totals, we had 44 EMS details,
Yeah, did you find Brenda's?
34
Yeah, I got it.
fire details, for a total of 78 details in October. We replaced Mr. Murdoch with firefighter paramedic Jake Laney. Mr. Laney's first shift was November 5th. He was with our department in the past, so he knows our system. Got a phone call from him the week after Mr. Murdoch gave us his resignation, and it was perfect timing and perfect fit to bring him back.
So you're staffed okay now?
Yes, we've filled the vacancy for the career firefighter paramedic.
I'm sorry, is he full-time or?
He is.
Okay.
In the packet I've given you guys for tonight's meeting, I've got the price from Ford. They came back at the end of August to open up production line for the public safety vehicles. The total is $52,154. I would like to ask for a buffer for the equipment and asking for approval not to exceed $55,000. If you look on page 5 of that packet, it explains the breakdown of the vehicle and the work for radios and lights to be installed interior. Once again, I'd like to reiterate that the funding for this would be the ARP funds or the ARP funds to purchase a vehicle. The township would only have to purchase insurance and maintenance on the vehicle. On page 6 is a general order that I've written up for my career firefighter lieutenants, just explaining what that vehicle will be used for and how it will be used, and explaining if, when I am out of town, that vehicle will go to one of the career fire lieutenants to do the duties I do in my absence. You want to look at the page behind that is just a routine email that our surrounding chiefs give us. If one chief is out of town or unable to make details in his area or mutual aid, they ask for help from the other fire chiefs in the surrounding communities. So that would be the function that I would pick up also when chiefs are out of town or unable to perform for whatever reason it might be on fire and EMS details. Having those ARP funds is kind of a no-brainer. It's not I don't come here, there's wants and needs, and I've never sat here in front of the board with wants. I bring needs, and then I prioritize those needs. Having the ARP funds, that's a great way to purchase this vehicle, and it wouldn't cost the township much at all besides insurance and maintenance. And I'll take care of the fuel costs.
Want to take and vote on that right now?
If you want, do you have
All
anybody
three
have
of
any
us are here.
questions?
You have any questions, Chuck, on anything? I don't. We've been over this thing for a couple months now, so.
I can tell you guys the one financial thing that I was wondering a few months ago until we didn't have everybody here, and I talked to the chief about it, was the fuel issue. And he clarified that the township would not pay for fuel for that particular vehicle.
Do we need to put that in with the motion?
Contract
So,
or something? Yeah.
we need to have that recorded?
Well, I mean, it's part of the record here, but I think that in the future, if a future chief or the chief, if we ended up having bills for fuel for that vehicle, then we would address a problem, essentially, is I think
Okay.
how it would be handled. But
Okay.
it's kind of for your information and authorizing the purchase of the vehicle.
Okay.
Because of the fact that he's going to keep it at his home because he needs to have it. If there's a
Right.
structure fire and he's off duty, he's going to come on duty.
All right.
The only thing I see they're gonna keep all this extra equipment and supplies in the SUV. My only problem with it is, my understanding is you're gonna have it here, but you're only gonna be here every third day, so 2 days they're gonna be out and at your house, which is like 25 miles away. So, is it how that gonna help Crosby Township? If I'm not reading it right.
It makes me available. I can respond. I go to meetings all the time. It keeps me in that vehicle. I'm going to be here.
Because that,
If I'm out of town, I'll go to one of the shift lieutenants.
I asked him the same thing, like outside the meeting, just to make sure I understood everything. And I think the idea was, the way I organized it in my mind and articulated it to myself is, it gives the chief of your fire department the ability to be there even if he's off duty when something happens. If your house is a structure fire, with all due respect to the other firefighters that we have at the firehouse, that, you know, you may have a firefighter in charge, you want the chief there, and he's going to be there, and he's going to have sirens on, which he can't do. He can't break any traffic laws currently if he's at his house and something major is happening in the township. This allows him to have sirens on, lights going, and get there as soon as possible to take command of the situation once he's able to be there. He can't do that right now, and he's the person that you've hired to be, you know, the chief of the department. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, it essentially would be available to the township because, like you said, it would be passed to the next person in charge if he's totally not able to respond to a major event. Is that fair, Chief? Because you and I talked about this in detail.
100%. It also allows me to go with our crews for mutual aid into other surrounding communities, not only to keep an eye on them, but to help those chiefs in those particular situations.
yeah, I know you live 25 miles away, and even if you got the sirens and lights on, it's gonna take you. If you go 60 miles per hour, it's gonna take you 25 minutes.
Takes
And
me
there's
20
no
minutes.
way you're gonna get here in 25
It
minutes.
takes me 20 minutes to get here with 20 to 25 with traffic. So
I don't know how you can get here at 60 miles per hour for 25 miles in 25 minutes.
two ways, either 128 to 129 to 128 or 275 to Blue Rock.
That depends on the traffic. So I think a good idea if you keep the vehicle here in Crosby Township, we'll get the use out of it 100% of the time instead of maybe a third of the time. So
It wouldn't be a third, and there are times where I have to be here,
there.
whether I'm on shift or not.
Well, it's also a perk for the fire chief, and we don't have to give him a raise right away. So
For the next
you can
10
you
years.
can look at it that way too.
Now, this would be taxable because when you ride back and forth for personal use, it'd be taxable to the fire chief. So,
And it's the approved use for the ARP funds,
Yeah.
and we got to use the ARP funds by a certain period of time, so,
yeah,
you know.
but you could use that money for something else if you need it.
Well, we've been
That
buying
Fort Scott.
a lot of fiery stuff, so
know
I don't have a problem with it right now.
You bought a new fire truck, and 700,000, whatever. So, talking about Fort Scott, that's gonna cost a lot of money over there, right? So, could repair the roads and everything. So,
Yeah, we got money in the budget for it, so.
okay.
I move that we approve no more than $55,000 for the purchase of a new vehicle for the chief.
I'm not seconding it. You can second it.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Mr. Hyab,
Yes.
Mr. Heiss,
No.
Mr. Lohman,
Yes.
All right, thank you. Fourth bullet right there. Trustee Hyab and I talked about the use of the garage next to the firehouse to store fire equipment for the new engine. Due to its age and condition, we started thinking about other options that would best suit the needs of the fire department in the long run. While that garage will serve its purpose to house the boxes and the equipment for us, before we go putting in money for electric and lights and outlets and door openers, I think we want to weigh out all the options before we spend money on that garage.
I would agree.
So for right now, we can secure it. It's lockable. It's got some boxes and equipment in already that's coming in slowly and surely. And we can discuss that at the planning meeting for next year. The last bullet I have is we applied for a grant through Nutrien Company on Patty's Run Road. The grant is to replace an older AED, which is an automated external defibrillator that we currently have on our fire engine. It's very similar to our heart monitor. It just doesn't do as much. It'll shock people with heart attacks, and we can read the heart. We give us a picture of the heart and a little more than what a current AED like it's hanging up over there right now. That's strictly for shocking. We can see pictures of the heart with this AED. We recently received great news from the Nutrien Company. We were awarded the funds for the AED. Boston and the Nutrien Company for a donation of $2,500 towards the purchase of the AED. The AED costs $3,129.89. With the help of the donation, I'm asking for approval for the remaining balance of $629.89 so that AED can be purchased. Now, in the grant had the full cost, and that's what Nutrien was able to supply us this year, was the $2,500, which is very generous of them. But to purchase that AED, I'm looking for $629.89. And if you look at the last two pages of this report, second to last page is the acceptance letter saying that they have accepted it and will donate that funding. And then the last page of this packet that you have is the actual price for the AED and the, like I said, the pads for us to shock people.
So when they give you the $2,500, is that going to the fire department, or is that going to,
That'll come straight to the township.
okay,
if it comes to us, I'm sure there'll be some notation on it of the grant. We'll just need to make sure that we deposit it into
right.
fire district funds.
Okay.
And then, because this is part of the reason why, I asked the trustees in the planning meeting to give fund level authorization for reallocation of monies throughout the year, because stuff like this comes up. We may, off the top of my head, I don't know if we have appropriations for something like that, because the township will have to appropriate the full amount of money, even though we have an extra unexpected revenue coming in to go toward it. So we'll have a place that we can reallocate
Okay.
if necessary, and we'll pay it.
okay.
I just received that confirmation on November 4th, so I imagine it'll take a while for them to cut checks and send them.
Okay.
So do we need to move to pay for the entire amount then?
Well,
How do you want to handle that?
yeah, because the township will be paying it out of the township's account. We'll just be bringing in a grant. So I guess we'll need a motion to approve that specific expenditure. And what was the full amount?
312989.
So like 3,100 and like up to $3,150, which would be supplemented by the amount received in the grant, which I think was 2,500. That's how I would word it. I would just word it actually as just plain approving the expenditure for up to
Okay.
$3,150. Everyone having been informed that we're receiving this money, but that's not part of the motion. The motion is the expenditure. $3,150.
I make a motion make us buy AEDs for $3,150 from Nutrition Company.
So the expenditure, that would include a grant of $2,500 from the Nutrient Company.
Okay, include the 2,500 grant we're receiving from the nutrients.
Second.
Roll call.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss,
Yes.
Loman.
Yes.
Would you like for me to wait and place that order once the check comes in from Nutrien, or?
I would go ahead and order it, because you might get the check in a month, you might get the check in 2 months, you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's something that you can use, so,
Yeah, it's replacing a 12-year-old AED that we currently have.
right, so I'd go ahead and order it.
Just so Neutrina doesn't go out of business.
For that, and that's all I have.
Okay, community coordinator, Dennis.
All right, I'll do the community coordinator for Brenda Jackson. I guess I got the right one here. Is that it? Just one page?
Yes.
Okay, updates from Brenda Jackson. The 16th Kringle Chest Children's Benefit Program has launched. This is a program that we coordinate with Crosby School through their school counselor. The school identifies and does proper vetting for qualified families who then become a part of our program. Local businesses and friends of Crosby Township donate money for Santa to help make Christmas lists come true. They also receive food that we coordinate with churches and businesses who want to contribute. This year, we have 45 children to take care of. The elves will be busy. If anyone would like to volunteer to help with this project, please contact Brenda at the township number 738-1440. We will be hosting a community Christmas wrapping party on December the 16th at 7 p.m. here at the community center. Special thanks to the businesses and organizations who have already sent their donations in on time. This Thursday, November 17th, dinner with friends will be held at Whiskey's Restaurant in Lawrenceburg. We will meet at the restaurant at 5 p.m. Please call Brenda for reservations if you haven't already done so. December Senior Club meeting will be held on December 6th at 11:30 a.m. We will be announcing more information soon about the catered Christmas lunch and reservations in our December newsletter. We will enjoy a Christmas concert by Peas in the Pod from Cincinnati, thanks to Butler Rural Electric Community Grants Program. The Senior Club members will be going to Illinois for an overnight to see a Christmas show at the Beef House Dinner Theater on December 9th. Those details are being put together right now. All regular weekly programs are doing fine. The hula dance class will possibly be performing at the December luncheon. And that's all I have.
I had one other little thing, just that, kind of pertaining to Brenda, that Ed Stacy has decided to resign, the one who does the sign updating job, for personal reasons. And so Brenda and Jim are going to take over changing the signs. So I think that's all we got for her. Fiscal Officer, Matt.
Thank you. Got a few things here. Okay, the first thing, before I forget, this is very important. From the county, we have to have a resolution approved by the trustees. This is actually, the resolution itself is prepared by the county office. And I'll just read it into the record. It's called Resolution Accepting the Amounts and Rates as Determined by the Budget Commission and Authorizing the Necessary Tax Levies and Certifying them to the county auditors. This is something that's necessary just for our tax revenues that we get from the county every year. The main informational pieces are filled out in the pre-written resolution, and then the schedule of the taxes and mills and amounts is in there. Brian and I looked at it. We don't notice anything glaringly wrong or anything like that. This is something that happens every year at the end of the year, and then the very last page of this is basically something that I have to do, certifying that a copy of it is on file with the county and that kind of thing. But this, I'll pass this around. You guys can look at that maybe as I go over some other things. We'll need a motion, and I'll write that name down in a second and a vote. Or else we won't get any revenues from the county. So that's a pretty critical piece there.
Boilerplate.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Go ahead, I make a motion that we accept resolution.
I second it.
Roll call.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss,
Yes.
Lohman.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you sign this.
Yeah, you guys then can sign. Let's just do it now. Just sign one by one on the 3 lines right there that Chuck's got it open to.
And that's for trustee.
No, it's trustee there, name, put the date right
Is it want the
there.
date here?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that's for.
You can go on, I guess, with the next thing.
Okay. I was putting the Kringle Chess packing party in my calendar. The next thing I wanted to bring up during my section is the further discussion about the sheriff's office. So really for you guys, this is two-pronged. At the last meeting, Chuck, I know you usually watch them on video. Did you watch the meeting from last time?
Yes, I did.
So just to review, what I did was in response to some local media reports about the Hamilton County Sheriff going through the budgeting process along with the commissioners. We have this regular reoccurring kind of, I don't know if threat's a pretty strong word, but basically, that's kind of what it is, to removing regular sheriff patrols to the 3 western townships, which includes ours, without paying any contract, fees for their services. My understanding is that we are the only, between us, Whitewater, and Harrison Township, we're the only 3 communities in Hamilton County that don't either have our own police force or specifically contract and pay the Hamilton County Sheriff for patrolling of our areas. And then, as Mr. Heiss, as you mentioned earlier, that's something that's been brought up before and something that the sheriff's kind of backed down from. I don't know historically how long ago the sheriff, determined to have specific patrols for these areas without, being paid for it, or if it's always been like that. I have no clue. What I did for my part, and I know that there's been meetings about this periodically over time. Some of you guys may have been at them. What I did was I went and found out what the cost is for contracting with the Hamilton County Sheriff for patrols, if that's what the trustees decide to do, and presented last month basically a feasibility report, as to what it would cost us. Would it cause us to enter into a deficit? Is it something that we can afford with our current revenues and whatnot? The rate basically is, I think it was $62 an hour essentially for a regular patrol. That's an out-the-door cost. That covers liability insurance, that covers health insurance for the officer, that covers the cruiser, that covers everything. And just for a point of reference, I mean, you just got a rate for that's the current rate. And I don't know if that's subject to change or if that's the rate for next year. I'm not sure. You just got a quote from the sheriff for the traffic detail part. That's $50 an hour. So, and that's just for, covering a detail. So this is for, everything that's included. This also includes use of the investigative division, when detectives need to be sent out, if you've got a bomb squad issue or anything like that, that includes all of those, specialty services in the rare times that they might be needed as well. Some communities also contract with the sheriff's office for 12 hours a day instead of 24 hours a day, at that same hourly rate. So what I did in the feasibility study last week that I left with you guys to consider, going into this meeting or next meeting, is that we're kind of right about at the point with our general fund revenues where we can afford to, just talking kind of rough numbers, we're kind of right at the point where we could afford 12 hours worth of patrol a day, 7 days a week, to contract with the sheriffs from the general fund without going into any kind of deficit. Obviously, we have, surplus funds, right now with the township because of, how we've used money and how we've budgeted previously. And we would not be eating into that if we went into 12 hours a day. If we were to go 24 hours a day, we would have a significant deficit in the general fund on our hands, where the trustees would need to decide whether, you wanted to, for now eat into it with the deficit, hope revenues continue to increase, and possibly eventually go to the voters for a public safety levy. So that's kind of where you're at right now, and hopefully you've been able to give it to some consideration. And I guess for my part, I really don't have much to do from there except for provide you with the numbers. I think that if you decide you want to go through the process of contracting with the sheriff, it's probably something that you'll want to get the attorney to get into contact. There's a specific person with the county or with the sheriff that handles all of those contracts, and start those kind of communications.
I was thinking that when I was talking to them that they were going to contact us this fall yet, I'd like to see what proposals they have.
Yeah, I'm sure that, what they would
come at us
propose.
before we act. That way we know what kind of figures they're coming at us. And hopefully that they would get back with us before the first year so we could address it at our planning meeting.
Yeah, I don't think that's unwise at all. At the same time, Yeah, if they're not contacting you, it may behoove, depending on where you're at, what you want to. I mean, if the sheriff came and said, you know, I mean, the sheriff may have a plan now that might change in February. I mean, so I don't know. I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Wait for them to call you, reach out to them. I'm not sure. I think it depends on, what you want to do.
Well, I'm going to wait until probably the middle of December, and I'll call back down there and see what's cooking.
Yeah. My understanding, when I talk to people in my office, at my day job, at the prosecutor's office, that at least monitor the different contracts, it seems like it's a pretty, I don't know if boilerplate's the right word, but it's a pretty standard contract with the surrounding communities, the rate, what's involved. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea, because I think it's kind of like if one of you were to talk with the sheriff's office, my prediction is going to be like, yeah, here's the deal. It's this, and this, and this is kind of what everybody who's in the program pays for, and it's going to be kind of a quick thing.
All right.
Along with that is the sheriff traffic detail, and I don't think that's anything that is urgent that you vote on right now. But you did get the emails from the sheriffs about the rate increases. Mr. Carter put together the spreadsheet that you have in front of you for consideration, because obviously that's a whole different purpose than the regular patrol, and you have that information in front of you to decide if you want to do both, you want to do one or the other, or what. And if the idea is take the information and consider it for the future, that's fine, but you have the information.
I think we'd probably wait until we do our planning meeting and then address all these concerns there and going into the new year. So that'd be my opinion.
Is there any other questions for me?
Do you have a resolution for the consulting agreement from Alan Trends for the consulting agreement for Bob May? Alan was supposed to come up with something. At least I thought he was.
I was trying to remember if that was in here. Brian, did you see anything on that?
I haven't got anything from Mr. Trends.
What I would like to do,
Well, I got that. We all have received the consulting agreement, and if that's the only thing that we need to address.
I
thought he was going to say that we should do it by resolution, but maybe I was misunderstanding him.
Well, Mr. Lohman, can I take like 90 seconds and just double check my email real quick
That's not something.
and see if there's not something I missed in there? Is that all right?
Yes.
All right, this is it.
Oh, okay.
This is it. It's a resolution.
Put that down.
I think he probably has this.
Yeah, go back there and get him.
Because it got his name on it, so.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Well, I think a good idea is to wait, because when they do call from the sheriff's department, we say, well, we kind of put figures together, and basically this is what we can afford, and
Yeah, well, we'll see what they come out with.
yeah,
I mean,
so. Doug feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather lay
mean-
low more than anything.
We get our homework, so I mean, When I listen to this tape,
Did you have one?
be sure you speak
Yeah,
in
we
the
got them.
microphone because some of you sit back and it's really hard to really understand what you're saying.
So you gotta lean into the microphone, huh?
Yeah, get close because sometimes you make comment and it don't show up. So.
Okay, so Matt, you have,
Yeah, I have it here as well.
okay, it was covered up in there. It gave me a whole bunch of stuff. I missed it.
Yeah, the thing I just realized is I'm gonna ask Brian to double check what resolution. Can you check what resolution number we're on? Just check what the last one we used was. And then I'll fill that, because I actually need to write a resolution number on the top of the one you guys already
Correct.
signed as well.
If you got anything else while he's doing that, or
We can
Yeah.
read it into the record.
go ahead.
You want me to read it in the record, or you want to read it into the record, Matt?
So we have a resolution agreeing to a consulting agreement, whereas the Crosby Township Board of Trustees has requested the service of RJM Consulting LLC, an Ohio liability company, to assist in the construction of a shelter on township property. And whereas the Board of Trustees of Crosby Township has determined that it is in the best interest of the township to enter into a consulting agreement with RJM, now therefore be it resolved by the board that the following resolution being and it hereby is adopted. The board hereby agrees to enter into the consulting agreement.
15.
Was the last one used?
No, for this one, 15.
Okay, because we need one. So the last one used was 14?
Yes.
So this one's going to be 15. Okay, and this one will be 16. Okay. Board hereby agrees to enter into the consulting agreement with RJM, a copy of which is attached hereto as Exhibit A. Dennis Hyab, trustee, is hereby authorized to sign the consulting agreement on behalf of the township and to take further action on behalf of the township to oversee the terms of the consulting agreement and the management of the project. It is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of the board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board that resulted in this formal action were in a meeting open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. It would be adopted this 14th day of November 2022. There's signature lines for each of the trustees here on this page. Behind it is the Exhibit A as referenced in the resolution. And actually the Exhibit A is in fact the consulting agreement. I noted that Mr. May is present at the meeting tonight, and so there's a spot for his signature on the exhibit. And what I would do is retain the original and make copies of that for anyone who needs it. So here's that. And that is marked resolution number 162022.
Need a motion to accept the resolution,
Yeah.
since I'm on the line that's gonna do this business. Is that conflict of interest? I shouldn't make the motion?
I wouldn't think so. If you support it going into place, someone else can do it if you want.
Yeah, I second it.
Well, do you want to make the motion or not? Because Dennis feels, since he's the one doing it, that maybe he shouldn't be the one making the motion. I mean, I'll make the motion.
Well,
All right, so you got motion by Mr. Lohman for resolution 162022 as previously read in the record. Is there a second?
I second it.
Would you like a roll call on that?
Sure.
Mr. Hyab,
Yes.
Mr. Lohman,
Yes.
Mr. Heiss.
Yes. I don't remember, could you get a roll call on that rate increase? I mean, accept the rate from the,
We didn't do it yet.
You know, I don't think we did.
For the end of the year, so, you mean for the,
For the resolution that we did,
no, accept the,
I know what you mean. Everybody signed it, but I don't think we went on the record verbally with a
yeah,
roll call vote.
I don't remember a roll
Okay,
call.
so we have this approved. I assume that, did you sign the Exhibit A, the actual agreement?
No, send it back.
And assuming you guys have all signed that, once you do that, if you could have Mr. May sign it. Brian, once he signs that,
You want a
would
copy?
you mind just running back
That's not
and making a copy of this
that's
right
not
now
signed.
for Mr. May, so he has it for his records? That way he doesn't have to wait the whole end of the whole meeting.
Does anybody have any questions for him on the shelter? He's one to be putting out for the bids and overseeing, just like he did with the big building over here. He took and made sure everything was followed and oversaw the thing. So if you have any questions, he's the man to ask right now.
I guess that when we built that building, it's a lot larger than that shelter, so I guess it won't be as much steady, I guess.
Won't be as expensive, but we still have to follow all the guidelines because it's going to be over $50,000.
Okay.
We gotta make sure we send out the same information that we did for the, storage building.
Okay. Were you involved with the other shelter we built back in?
No.
Okay, 2011, 2000. I guess it was like 2007 that was built, or 2008, because that was built before I came on board. So, as a trustee, so.
On the Abercrombie and Associates contract, do I sign it, or do we have to have this approved also by the board?
The way it was done before is that the
you should probably go up there and talk, because, sorry, so it's,
Yeah, I can't hear. I know.
the way that you managed it before, the board members appointed somebody to be in charge of the storage building. On that one, it was Jim.
Yeah.
So you need to, amongst yourself, say that you're going to be the signature.
Well, we just said
You
that
just
in the
did that.
resolution.
Okay. And then from there on out, all the information that I need to give to you, I get a proposal for you to approve.
Okay,
And we'd go at piecemeal because that's what it's gonna take is a lot of small parts
Okay.
and pieces.
right. Okay.
thank you.
If we could double back for just a second, on Resolution 15-2022, the resolution accepting the amounts and rates for the county, I noted that all trustees have signed it, and I've attested to that, but we didn't go on the record for a roll call vote. I know that the, Mr. Hyab had moved for the adoption of the rates, and that was seconded by Mr. Heiss. So, if it's all right with you,
Roll
Mr.
call.
Lohman, we could do a vote. Mr. Hyab,
Yes.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Lohman.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right. Just want to make sure there wasn't anything else.
We didn't get a fiscal officer's report, did we?
Yeah, you did. It was in your mailbox. I think on Thursday.
Yeah.
You got a binder over there, is that it?
Nah, that's the. Yeah, I got it. All right. I had,
I've never done that.
I stick them on top of it. Sorry.
Okay. The one update was there was a very slight modification in the minutes to be approved that I provided in there, but other than that, I don't think there's any other changes.
Was there any resolution on that check that got forged?
Not yet. It's ongoing. We're gonna have to start making a lot of calls and harassing them about that. For right now, the way it shows up in the bank reconciliation is there. There's a spot for those kind of things. Where you note the adjustment, you note it with detail, and so your accounts still balance out correctly and everything. If we don't get some kind of satisfaction by the end of the year, what I'll ask the trustees to do is request Mr. Trends to kind of do like a
So-
lawyer type of thing and see if we can get some satisfaction.
Okay.
Is that all you have?
Yeah, Brian, there wasn't anything else you thought?
There's one thing I'd like to bring up for the planning meeting, whenever it's gonna be
Yeah.
discussed. I think it would be a good idea for everybody to come with like a 1-year, 3-year, 5-year capital plan, instead of trying to piecemeal them so we can get them in line,
All
to get them funded in the
Sounds like a
out years
plan.
especially.
right. Okay.
At least for like major
Purchases.
capital projects.
Right.
Yeah, like the parking lot, maybe to get resurfaced, a new signboard on New Haven instead of the one we have.
Yeah, I mean, like heads of departments too should think of things and.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Right.
At least request,
Department heads need to
bring
come
it up.
forward with things that, I know Harry, if wishes were fishes, Harry'd have a new salt dome. We might as well just ask for the moon, and then we can whittle down, you guys can whittle down from what, are
Yeah.
not realistic to what realistic goals are.
Sure. I approve. I
But I think we
agree.
need to
And
get that, so it's
to be
not-
honest, I've heard, from other fiscal officers of like larger townships, like it may end up happening sooner rather than later that instead of being required to have a projected budget in the summer of the previous year, they may end up start really forcing us to put in like 3 or even 5-year budgets, which is going to be a giant pain for an organization
Yeah.
as small as ours, but we may end up having to put it on paper anyway.
Okay.
And I think that, well, by the end of this meeting, so at the end, I think I put a spot for it on the agenda, we do need to set a date
Yep.
so that we can get notice out for the planning meeting.
Okay.
All right, anything else for Matt? Zoning, Rick?
We issued 8 zoning certificates last month. 1 solar panel, 2 additions, 3 fences, 1 accessory building, and 1 renewal of a zoning certificate. And that's all we have, and I will be, Jean is, this might be her last month as
Okay.
far as helping me out. And I'll let you know the specifics as soon as I find out.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I have.
You're going into executive session with us at the end?
I can, yes.
Yeah, we'll do Harry first, and then when Harry's done, then you. We have to hand out numbers.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Anything else for Rick? Old business, Dennis?
As far as the deputy sheriff's patrol, it's on the agenda. There's no report on that. Rosemeyer did get the roof done on the old town hall. I went ahead and ordered the gutters and downspouts and leaf guards to be put on. They were a little bit expensive. I asked why they went the 6-inch gutters instead of 5-inch. He said because of the steepness of the roof and the gutter guards, that the 6-inch gutters would accommodate the rainwater going in easier than 5-inch. So I'm going to try to get a green color to match the trim that's on it right now as close as I can. We'll find out. I'll have to see what colors they got. If it isn't, I'll go white.
Are they putting a faceboard on it? Do they have to?
No, they got spacers that they can
Oh.
make it straight so that the gutter hangs straight. So they do have spacers that'll take that angle out. So, and then we addressed the vertical seams and the seam plate. And that's it.
All right, thanks. And then me, just a couple things. Reminder that Tim Zellick will be here next month from Hamilton County Parks. I will confirm it and then let Matt know to put him on the agenda, that he's definitely coming. I know Chuck brought up some things that they're going to be doing, so I'm sure he'll go over that. And I did talk to Jim Niehaus and Tom Losekamp about with the sewer situation that we're going to somehow have to be addressing in the future, because they're having the same issues, and I know they're putting a line in down Edgewood next year, so that would affect both of us, because we're on one side and Harrison's on the other, and so I guess they're taking it back to all those new houses that they're putting back on off of Edgewood.
So how much of Edgewood is not in the city of Harrison? I guess the Cornelius property, and then as you come down all the way down to the crossroads, that would still be in Crosby Township. We have an island there, just like.
Wasn't Crosby the whole side, right side of?
The right side.
But you mean how much is not in the city?
Yeah, because the city.
Aren't like some of those trailers and stuff, those aren't in the city, are they?
No, but we'll have a second island then, just like Short Road.
Yeah.
So we'll have an island of Crosby Township.
Then the other
with the
side's
city.
Harrison, so
Right.
they'll be making them hook up too, probably. There's not too many houses there, but there's a few.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's a hodgepodge.
Yep, it's getting to be that way.
That's all I have. Chuck?
Nothing.
And new business, Mr. Hyab?
The old town hall is going to need a paint job. If you look at it, it's peeling off, and so we're going to have to address that next year probably, and no more than 2 years out. So that's something we need to take and keep a handle on. I would suggest, Chuck, since you're on the Historical Society, put it past them what color paint they'd like on that building. If they want it done in yellow and trimmed in green, or if they want it all white, try to get their feelings on that so that we at least have some idea on what that is. And then,
They did have the trees trimmed too, right?
yeah, we had, yeah. So, and then since you said tree trim, the blue spruce that's over there at the firehouse, I told Harry he just needs to cut that down and get rid of it. It looks kind of shoddy. So,
Don't you guys have chainsaws over at the fire department?
Yeah, we got it.
No, the fire.
so, and then as far as new business, I was talking to the chief, about putting an addition on the firehouse or a standalone structure or something because they're out of room. We get the new fire engine. We don't have any place to put it if we're going to keep the old fire engine. So get thinking about that. If you want to go over and look at the firehouse and talk to the chief about some ideas that are being pushed around, we can do that in the planning meeting also. But I just want to sow those seeds for you right now, and that's all the new business I have.
I don't have any. Chuck?
None.
That goes to other concerns, so executive session.
I move we go into the executive session to discuss employee hiring things.
Before we do that, can we pick a date and time for the
Oh.
planning meeting?
Special organizational meeting and planning meeting?
Yes.
Where's the calendar at here underneath?
So we typically try to do that as soon as possible, following New Year's.
What, you don't want to do it in December?
I don't know if you can, or,
Well, we
there's
typically
no one-
do
no
it
one new
just
going
like
on
right
this
after
year.
New Year's. I mean, we could do it on Sunday afternoon. We could do it on Monday. That's the 2nd or the 3rd.
that would be good with me. The first Monday,
Of what?
January.
Oh,
That's when we typically will do it.
is that when we typically do it?
Yeah, sometime within the first 5 or 6 days.
before the first meeting.
But yeah, but the earlier the better.
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to do it in December.
I don't know why, but
Well, typically, if there's
Historically,
someone
we
new
haven't.
coming on, you want to wait because they don't start their term till the first of the year.
yeah.
But there won't
That-
be anybody new this year, but
All right, I'm just asking.
It doesn't hurt if we do it then. I mean, we'll be working feverishly anyway because we're doing end of year stuff and turning over. But the 3rd would be good if you guys are available.
What, January 3rd?
It's a Monday.
I'm good. That-
7 p.m.
That's a Tuesday.
The Tuesday.
Oh,
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong year.
Tuesday,
when's the first?
yeah.
The 2nd is a Monday.
You guys want to do the 2nd Monday?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll work.
It's Sunday the 2nd or Monday the 3rd?
Monday the 2nd,
What time?
7 p.m. Good.
Or do you want to do a day meeting and have
I'm
lunch?
better in the evening.
catered.
but It's not. We have to do an appropriation. For
Well,
We could do.
if we're going to do planning, and the organizational won't take too long, but the planning might take, we do 2 hours. That would get us out of here. Okay. Let's go, 7 p.m. Fine by me.
Is that okay with
Yes.
you, Chief?
Yes.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Harry, you good? All right. There we got it.
And do I need a second for executive session?
Who was the first? Who was the motion?
Dennis made the motion on the executive session.
I second it.
Roll call.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss,
Yes.
Lohman.
Yes. I need a motion to come out of executive session.
I move that we come out of executive session.
Roll call.
Yeah, we did.
I think we did.
Hyam,
Yeah.
Heiss, Lohman.
Yes.
All right, I move that we hire Diane Carter on a 3-month probation period at $500 a month, and upon completion,
No, go ahead.
upon completion of that probation period with approval from Rick to go full-time or come out of probation, and he's happy with her that we move her up to $600 a month.
Want to second it?
That's a monthly salary, is that right?
Correct.
I second it.
Roll call.
Hi,
Yes.
Heis,
Yes.
Lohman.
Yes.
And that is, I don't know if you mentioned this, Mr. Hyab, in your motion, that's for the, in the zoning department, right, correct?
Correct. Zoning assistant.
And I think, Mr. Lohman, you already mentioned our planning organizational meeting, special meeting, January 2nd at 7 PM, correct?
Yes.
At 10 o'clock in the morning,
7 o'clock at night.
7. I'll
7
be here
PM.
early.
Yeah, you have to wait a while.
Yeah. Somehow my paper got wet.
So is that anything else?
I think I,
Your meeting?
Our next, well, I didn't know if you had, our next meeting will be December 12th at 7 PM.
I move we adjourn.
Yeah, there's a typo on that, December 12th,
I think so.
yeah. Let me, can we double check that day? I just want to make sure I got that
It's
right.
correct,
Okay,
the 12th.
I just didn't move the month, okay. We got a motion to adjourn from Mr. Hyab.
I second it.
Roll call.
Hyab,
Yes.
Heis,
Yes.
Lohman.
Yes.
What time you got there, Chairman?
9:23.